we talk about a structure. So I'm part of a global coaching business called ActionCoach, and
Mhm,
um, it's a phenomenal. It's a 30-year-old business started by one guy, Brad Sugars, and
mhm,
Brad's a great guy, still around, lives in Las Vegas, an Australian by birth.
mhm,
Phenomenal character, and you know, if you look at the language of business, it has to be numbers.
mhm,
Um, and I go back to my days of working in corporate banking in London, where
mhm.
everyone talked turnover, turnover, turnover. Look at the size of my turnover. Look at my turnover.
Yeah,
And then we sort of pivoted a bit to profit, or are you profitable? But again,
mhm,
in the UK, we're a bit unhappy about that, saying we're profitable. Oh
sure.
gosh, I'm making profit. But then, of course, it comes back to cash flow, doesn't it?
Mhm,
When you meet a client or a potential client where they're saying, "I'm not sure we can meet the salary run this month."
mhm.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So you're turning over X million. Woo, that's the pub talk.
Mhm,
You're profitable, but you're not sure you can make the salary run this month.
mm. Yeah.
Let's dig a little bit deeper into that and understand why you can't make the salary run.
Mhm,
So with any client, I go right back to the basics, and I've got we work to a structure of steps, and that
mhm.
first step on that rung, there's 6 steps, but that first step is: are you clear on the vision and the direction of this business? Are you clear where this business is going?
Mhm.
Are you clear about your financial numbers?
Sure.
Are you clear about your time mastery?
Okay.
And are you clear about the levels of service that you give to your clients?
Mhm,
So I go back to my big supermarket. One of the things that came out, we did a psychometric assessment on all the team.
mhm,
We analyzed it. We looked at it because you can only manage what you measure. So if you
mhm.
measure it, you can manage it.
Yep.
And that's when the patterns start to occur. And we noticed within their senior team, there's a real gap around customer experience.
Right, okay.
And one of the things that had already been brought up was customer experience. Isn't that interesting? The correlation between there's a gap in the senior management around customer experience, i.e., around customer focus,
Mhm,
because they're very driven insofar as around the concept of business development, quite
mhm,
rightly so.
mhm.
And that's quite common in management teams. You'll
Sure.
see a management team that has a certain focus where it's got to really have that spread.
Yeah.
So I go back to that small business. You've got to. I call it mastery level. The structure calls it mastery level. Mastery of your goals and your vision. Have
Mhm,
you got a plan?
mhm.
Even if it's one sheet of paper, even what you've written there, is it just one
Yeah,
sheet of
yeah.
paper? There's your plan.
Yep.
Mastery of your numbers, mastery of your time, and mastery of your service.
Mhm.
Let's get that sorted. That's the foundation. That's the Lego building block at the bottom.
Sure.
I think other bricks are available.
So that's
Uh,
step 1.
yeah, step one is get that done.
Okay.
Once we've got step one and we're controlling it,
Mhm.
then we can start to look at step two. And step two is marketing,
Okay.
creating a really comfortable, consistent income.
Mhm.
When I meet most businesses, they've got the roller coaster of doom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we made loads of money. Oh, we haven't got any money. Oh, we made loads of money. Oh, we haven't got any money.
Yep.
Um, I met a group of guys and really just starting out in business. Great. They're in their early 20s. Phenomenal guys. Very energetic. And I won't say too much, otherwise they'll be able to work out who they are. But in the business they were in, they were just doing that roller coaster of doom, high, low, high, low.
Mhm.
And I said, when you're at your highest, what's changed? What's bringing in this massive income? And they said, oh, we create an offer. And when we do this offer, we go out to the community that we're in.
Mhm.
And the community really take us up on this offer.
Sure.
And we boost the business to a phenomenal. Okay. I said, do you run this offer every month? No, 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 no. It wouldn't be right. And I said, oh, is that fact or opinion?
Sure. Yeah.
Well, it's opinion. But always, I love the answer when people go, "No, I think that's a fact." Well, hang on, it's an opinion because you just said I think it's a fact, so
Yeah.
it has to be an
Yeah.
opinion, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I said, "Shall we test it and see if we ran the offer every month, what would happen?"
Mhm.
And guess what? It happened.
Yeah.
So they've now got a trajectory of repeatable income that's
Mhm.
coming in that allows them to reinvest and redo that. So step two is stabilizing your income.
Mhm.
We look at your marketing channels. I always ask any business, how many strategies have you currently got to go out there and bring clients into your business?
Mhm.
And most people go, I do a bit of advertising, or I do networking. Networking, great.
Sure.
Give me
Yeah.
the return on investment of your networking. Let's say you're a member of, again, I won't mention anything, but let's say you're a member of a networking chat that might cost around 800 to £1,000 a year.
Mhm. Yeah.
What's your return on investment? Oh, you get lunch. Yeah, but great. But
Yeah.
what's it brought you?
Yeah.
And what's it going to bring you?
Mhm.
Or, I don't know if it does. Well, let's study it.
Mhm. Yeah, I suppose a lot of businesses don't track that properly, do they? Don't actually look at all the different channels, figure out what's bringing in what. It's very interesting when you get into the
Yeah, it is because marketing's an investment. It's not a
yeah.
spend, it's an investment.
Hmm.
If I'm investing £1, what am I getting back?
Hmm.
Um, I did a lot of work with a very small, and it's only because a natural interest of mine, a sport that I had a real interest in, and we did some work with this small club just around COVID and after COVID, and we investigated where the clients were coming from. And when we found out where the clients were coming from, which was through Google Ads at the time,
Hmm.
we just did an investment, which is for every, I think we were investing £10 to £14,
Hmm.
we'd get around £1,300 back.
Right.
So
Spend more, mate.
switch it on, switch it off, switch it on, switch it off. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd be surprised. I had a similar story. I went to an event recently, and we were exhibiting there. And we're speaking to the company next to us, and he was talking about his Google ads, and he was like, "Oh yeah, it was making him. Long story short, it was making him a load of profit, and he was only spending like £200 a month." And he was like, "Oh, do you think I need to work with you?" I was like, "Maybe you start by just spending a bit more money there first, and see if it makes you some more
Absolutely.
money. Then maybe look at working with us." But I couldn't believe that. He was like, yeah, he was doing all these other things like exhibiting and whatnot, but he's got something that's making him a lot of profit and he's not thought to spend any more money. It it, it does baffle me when that
And
happens.
that goes back to mindset.
Hmm.
So it's what I call a scarcity mindset as opposed to an abundant mindset.
Sure.
If you know that your investment of £200 a month is going to get you, I don't know, £1,000,
Hmm.
does that work for you, given your profit margins? And if so, why are you not spending £1,000? Can your systems cope with the uplift in
Sure.
business?
Yeah.
But of course, we have that scarcity mindset that says, "Well, I'll almost gamble 200 on that and see what happens."
Yeah.
Which goes back to level one, which is, have you got a clear plan
Hmm.
and an understanding of your numbers, and it's something that you're working towards? I think
Perfect.
there
Yeah.
was a Harvard Business Review study that said the top 3% of all performing companies and people on the planet have a clear and written business plan.
Hmm.
The next 27% have a bit of both,
Hmm.
and the final 70% are sort of walking around bumping into walls and things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if we can't get into the top 3%, let's at least get way up the 27%.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and that's me because I've come from a very corporate background. But my mum owned a shop,
Yeah. Hmm.
my granddad owned a shop, so I've come from a family that had shops.
Sure.
We were business owners. My dad had his own business,
Hmm.
so I saw parents that ran their own businesses that had that sort of balance between spending time with me as a kid and my
Hmm.
sister, and also spending money and having nicer things and going on holidays, but sometimes working on a Saturday or sometimes working in an evening. I
Sure.
saw that balance.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it wasn't always equilibrium,
Hmm.
but I saw that balance. So I think, it helped me understand that when I went into corporates, because you're very protected, you're very bubbled, aren't you, in a corporate?
Sure. Yeah.
My computer breaks, I make a phone call,
Hmm.
I need some budget to go and spend on that. Well, there you go and spend your
Yeah.
budget. And
Yeah.
then you start your own company. And, I've had my own company for 22 years.
Yeah. Hmm.
You know, it's a different thing. If your computer breaks, it breaks.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got something else on the list
Yeah,
to deal with.
yeah.
Okay, so step one's basically clear, make everything clear.
Mastery. It's that mastery.
Mastery.
Yeah.
Step two, marketing. What would be step
Step three would be get your systems in place.
systems? Okay.
Yeah, your systems allows your a repeatable. It just allows you, those systems. And remember that systems are everything from having a meeting
Hmm.
with your team, or having a meeting with your suppliers, or having a meeting with someone.
Hmm.
Might be your business coach, might be your accountant. Speak to your accountant every month.
Sure.
Know your numbers. Um, Whoever, but have that meeting. Right through to systems such as an AI that you can put in place right now, which will
Hmm.
help you.
Sure.
I was with a client last week. They both agreed we're just not very good at taking notes. So we took an AI that does a transcript service and put it in
Perfect.
place.
Yeah.
Which actually, I go back to my care home, and that was a great one we did there. One of the things they have to do is every time they have an interaction with one of their residents,
Hmm.
they have to take notes.
Right. Okay.
So for years, it was all written notes.
Sure.
We discussed an AI that would take care of that. Game changer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because those notes have to go off to the local government body anyway to understand that they're caring for them in the right way.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolute game changer, saving time, money. So
Mhm.
that third rung on the ladder is all around systems.
Sure.
Let's get your systems in place.
Mhm.
Let's put some in place. Recruitment. What's your recruitment system like? What's your retention system like?
Mhm.
Do you perhaps even record a video on a phone just before a new starter's coming, saying, "Hey, welcome to my
Yeah.
company. Looking forward to meeting you in 2 weeks. Oliver, can't wait to meet you." How's Oliver going to feel? He's going to feel amazing, isn't
Yeah,
he?
yeah.
I've got a video from the owner of the company,
Mhm.
and it's a video
Yeah.
that you can send from your phone.
It's perfect. I had another podcast about 5 months ago, I think it roughly, and she was saying all about how she, for recruitment especially, she does a series of videos and then makes it really straightforward to have someone onboarded.
Superb.
And it's made a huge difference for her in terms of onboarding new staff, because before it'd be like people might feel a bit neglected, they're not seen to straight away. It just allows that to be a lot slicker, and that
Yeah.
technology helps with that 100%.
Your typical recruitment process or onboarding was, "Welcome to the business, Oliver. I've got to pop out today, but there's your laptop. Toilets are over there.
Yeah.
Go and chat to some people, and I'll see you tomorrow."
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, great! That's a great day one. Thanks for that.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get yourself some lunch, and yeah.
Yeah.
So I think systems is where that sits. Then we move on to people. That step 4 is people.
Okay.
Building an absolutely amazing team, and that's where a lot of young businesses in their embryonic stage, businesses at that sort of lower income stage struggle, that revenue stage, because how can I afford a member of staff?
Mhm.
So sometimes we have to ask the question, how can you afford not to have a member of staff?
Sure. Yeah.
Are you working on your business or are you working in your business?
Mhm.
What are you best at? What do you enjoy the most? So we
Mhm.
have something called a skill fun matrix.
Okay.
What are you absolutely great at and what do you really enjoy?
Sure.
So let's get you to that position.
Mhm.
So the owner of the business most likely is probably the best salesperson in the business
Sure.
because they
Yeah.
had to sell that microphone on day one.
Mhm.
So if that's where you want to be, let's elevate you back up there. Let's get you some admin supports.
Mhm.
Bang, let's bolt that in. Let's
Yeah.
get you perhaps a VA, a virtual assistant. Right, let's bolt that in. Let's get you some help with marketing. Right, let's slot that in. And look at the world right now. We can get support from anywhere on planet Earth.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Made it a lot easier, hasn't it?
yeah, and I had this discussion with a client last week. We're going to take on someone. We need to put them in the office. Why? Why do you need to put them in the office? Why do you even need to retain this?
Mhm.
Sorry for any office owners there, but why do we need to retain this right now?
Yeah.
What's the benefit? Think about your client. Think about this. Sorry, think about your business. Think about your business. What are the business needs right now?
Mhm.
How many times do clients come and visit you in your office? Never. So
Mhm.
why have an office? Why have you got this office for 2, 3 of you?
Yeah. Perfect. So
So
we
we've
got
gone those 4 steps now.
yeah. What would be next?
If those 4, and they
Yeah.
don't have to happen sequentially, they can happen, I might meet a business that's got the best systems you've ever come across.
Right.
So
Okay.
perhaps we need to work somewhere else on those 4 steps.
Mhm.
If we keep on at those 4 steps, we start to then see synergy
Mhm.
at level 5, which is what I call the well-oiled machine.
Okay.
It just seems to be working. It's just seemingly good.
Mhm.
Then step 6 is the owner might go off and perhaps invest in another business,
Mhm.
might become a serial entrepreneur, but you're now getting some serious results. Might franchise out, might open
Mhm.
another branch.
Perfect.
Now we've got something going on. And we call those our 6 steps and massive results.
Perfect. I love that. That's great because I, I I reckon there's definitely someone listening to this right now that thinks actually I'm weak on that area, or step number 2 or 3. It's great to see it in its actual form. Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you could do us a huge, huge favor and like and subscribe, it allows us to get you more amazing guests as well as share more practical tips on how you can grow your business online. If you are looking to grow your business online, then Ad People are here to help. They offer free, no obligation consultations that allows you to speak to more people who know what they're talking about. Simply email consult@adpeople.co.uk or see the link in the description. Other than that, I'll see you next time.